Getting the hard away, Southerntea, back with another EP. And y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Again, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So if y'all could smash that like button for your boy upon entering the building. It's fight week. And not only is it fight week this week, it's heavyweight fight week this week. We got Mr. Alexander Usyk versus Mr. Anthony Joshua. I'm gonna do the undercard. Yeah, I'm gonna do the undercard. Just not this morning, Mr. Patch. I'm gonna do the undercard another day this week. We got Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk in a rematch for the heavyweight championship of the world. We got the IBF belt on the line. We got the WBO belt on the line. And we got the the WBA belt on the line. This is a rematch between Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk saw himself reign victorious the last time out against Anthony Joshua. He ended up getting a 12-round unanimous decision win over Anthony Joshua. On my previous pick in the first fight, I originally picked Alexander Usyk. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, looked at me crazy. Before the fight, after the fight, right? After the fight, a lot of people go tell you that, oh yeah, I had AJ, I had Usyk or whatnot, right? A lot of people go tell you after the fight that they had him. But I actually, still got my video up. You can go check it out. I actually did pick Alexander Usyk. A lot of people was telling me, I was crazy. I look like a genius after the fact. But beforehand, a lot of people was telling me I was crazy. I saw a couple people picking Alexander Usyk here and there. But, the majority was that AJ will win that first fight. As AJ should. AJ should have won that first fight, you know what I mean? But AJ didn't win that first fight. AJ went into that fight and he got touched up a little bit. He got hurt by the smaller fighter. He boxed like the smaller man against the smaller fighter in that fight. And I think that's what saw him get himself in trouble. AJ had made comments about the reason why he lost the first fight. He made a few comments, right, about the reason why he lost the first fight. Was good, Big Tex. Appreciate you sliding through this junk. But his most recent comments, he said that he felt like that he lost that first fight because he didn't make the adjustments that he needed to be able to deal with Alexander Usyk being a southpaw. That was what Anthony Joshua had said. I think he said that a couple of days ago in the interview. The first time, when he originally lost, he didn't, make excuses. He didn't say too much. He said Alexander Usyk was the better man. But then a little while after that, he came out and said that it was his trainer fault. He said he felt like his trainer basically didn't add enough urgency to his fight. He said he thought that he was winning the fight, and his trainer didn't do enough to let him know, that he wasn't winning the fight. So he basically said that it was a training issue, a game plan issue, which will cause him to lose. I mean, he said it was a training. He said it was the trainer not, being clear with him that he was finna lose. And the most recent thing that AJ said though, which was a couple of days ago, the man said that he lost because he felt like Alexander Usyk was left-handed and he didn't have the right hand for a left-hand man. He said that he would have won that fight easily if Alexander Usyk was right-handed. YouTube. Now, my thing with that is those are his most recent comments. His most recent comments were, I would have won the fight if Alexander Usyk was right-handed. He went on to say, well, now I've made the adjustments, right? So I'll be able to deal with it now. But my thing is, if you feel like, that you lost because Alexander Usyk is left-handed, right? Well, Alexander Usyk is going to be left-handed going into this fight again. You know what I mean? So hopefully you've been in camp and you've been drilling, left-hand boxers, you know what I mean? Because Alexander Usyk, his hand ain't gonna change. Like he was left-handed the last time, he gonna be left-handed when he go in there this time, you know what I mean? So hopefully AJ gets that figured out. I personally think AJ lost that first fight because he fought Alexander Usyk in the wrong style, right? I feel like he fought what was good, D Free. Appreciate you sliding through this, John D Free. Glad you can make it. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button, whether you're here for a good time or a long time. In here giving y'all my breakdown between Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. I think Anthony Joshua lost that first fight because he wasn't aggressive enough. You know what I mean? He wasn't aggressive enough, and he wasn't imposing his style or his will on the Alexander Usyk. He was using his jab right, but he was using his jab trying to outbox Alexander Usyk. Almost like he was trying to beat Alexander Usyk to the punch. Like he was trying to show Alexander Usyk that, he was the better boxer. And that's not, the way to beat Alexander Usyk. That's not the way to beat Alexander Usyk, especially if you're Anthony Joshua, because you are far from being a better boxer than Alexander Usyk. You're not quicker than him in no way, shape, or form. So for you to try to, use your range, you know what I mean? You to try to use your boxing ability, for you to try to use your range, for you to try to use your boxing ability against a guy like Anthony Joshua, that's not the best. That's not the best idea, for you, because you're not the pedigree of boxer that Alexander Usyk is, and that's going to get you in trouble. If Anthony Joshua is going to win this fight this time, Anthony Joshua is going to have to impose his will. He's going to have to throw those punches in combination. You know what I mean? Where he was throwing those singular jabs. He's going to have to throw his punches in a combination the second time if he wants to win. He's going to have to do more dictating the pace of the fight. In the last fight, he was real reactive. You know what I mean? He was real reactive. In the times where he did lead, right? He did much better in the fight versus Alexander Usyk. But but most times in that fight, Anthony Joshua let Alexander Usyk dictate the pace and fight. He let Alexander Usyk, control the tempo of the fight. He let Alexander Usyk control the range of the fight. He let Alexander Usyk put him in positions that he wasn't comfortable with way too much, which was out of the ordinary, right? Because with him being much bigger than Alexander Usyk, you would think that he would be the one putting Alexander Usyk in all of these tough situations, right? But he let Alexander Usyk be the bigger man in that last fight. You know what I mean? He let Alexander Usyk push him around. This fight, he got to do more. This fight, he got to do more, pressing the action. He got to do more of being first instead of reacting off of what Alexander Usyk does. Because he was waiting to react off of what Alexander Usyk did, and Alexander Usyk was beating him to the punch. And I'm not going to say that AJ, is a chinny guy, right? Because he's never been knocked out, but he has been knocked down. And when Alexander Usyk would hit him, it would kind of freeze AJ and stun him a little bit. He rocked him a few times and everything. He didn't. I don't think that. And actually, there was a time where he did almost stop AJ. I think it was like maybe the 11th round or something like that. The referee kind of jumped in a little early. And ended the round. AJ was looking in some trouble. It was about 10 seconds left in that fight. And the referee, he jumped in and he stopped it, but it was more time left on the clock. Now, he ended up letting him finish. But, it was a weird sequence right there, right? Where it looked like the referee might have saved AJ, from getting stopped. You know what I mean? So, there's that. In this fight, I just told you AJ will have to, impose his will on Alexander Usyk. He will have to be first. You know what I mean? Use the jab just like you used it the first time, right? Keep using the jab, but add your straights, add your hooks to the body after. The thing in the first fight was when AJ would try to throw his combinations, he would let Alexander Usyk discourage him. Because when he would throw, he did almost drop AJ Jason. What's good, D Free? Because when he would throw, his jabs or his one shots at Usyk, Usyk will weave it, right? He will weave it, and then Usyk will fire off about a 3-punch combination. And Alexander Usyk would hit AJ with about 2 or 3 of those punches every time. Because AJ, as we know, AJ don't really get his head off the line. He kind of stiff neck, right? He kind of stationary. He kind of heavy in general. He like a stick in the mud almost. He can move when he get going, but even when he does move, it's still like robotic movement, and he don't move his head that much, right? So when AJ would throw his jab, Usyk would just, duck off to the right or duck off to the left or duck under him, and then he'll fire off 3 shots before AJ could even get his one shot out. What's good, Big Tex? Appreciate you sliding through this joint. He will fire off about 2 or 3 shots, right, before AJ even got his big slow ass jab back to his chest. Well, now what I need AJ to understand in this fight is that you're the much bigger man. You're the much bigger guy. You know what I mean? Now, it's best that you not even get hit with those shots coming in, right? It's best that you move your head and get out of the way of those shots coming in, right? You know what I mean? But I need AJ, to bite down a little bit on his mouthpiece. Because the last time when Alexander Usyk hit you, right, you went into a shell. This time, I need you to bite down on that mouthpiece, and I need you to press forward. Instead of throwing your one shot, you know what I mean? You throw 2 and 3 shots. And if Alexander Usyk fires back, you mean to tell me that Alexander Usyk hits harder than you? If both of y'all firing and both of y'all landed, you mean to tell me, AJ, that Alexander Usyk is a harder puncher than you? No, I don't believe he is. So what I need from AJ is I need AJ to be more aggressive in this fight, and I need him to throw his punches in combinations. If Alexander Usyk is going to win this fight, right, Alexander Usyk is going to do a lot of the things that he did in the first fight. A guy like Alexander Usyk, he don't have to necessarily change as much as Anthony Joshua. Alexander Usyk was victorious in that last fight. Alexander Usyk went out there, was good, Nitty G. Appreciate you sliding through this, John. Glad you can make it. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in, whether you're here for a good time or a long time. Alexander Usyk, he don't have to change too much. He just got to continue, doing the things that he did. In that first fight, Alexander Usyk, he controlled the pace. And he controlled the pace of the fight, and he controlled the range. He controlled the pace and the range of that fight, all with his foot movement. The key to Alexander Usyk in this fight is going to be his foot movement. The key for Alexander Usyk in most fights, at heavyweight, right? At heavyweight, the key for Alexander Usyk in most of his fights at heavyweight, has been his movement. Alexander Usyk is the former cruiserweight champion of the world. So, right, automatically, when he steps up to heavyweight, he is going to be one, of the more, fleet of foot boxers. And he does use that to his advantage. In that first fight with AJ, Alexander Usyk used his feet well. He was able to disrupt the timing of AJ's punches with his own punches. You know what I mean? He will move. He really beat AJ at every level of the game. He beat AJ at distance. He beat AJ at mid-range. And he beat AJ in the inside. Now, he didn't stay in the inside long. He didn't stay in the inside long with AJ, but when he was in the inside, he made AJ pay. The thing with Alexander Usyk is in that last fight, AJ didn't throw a whole lot of punches in that last fight. AJ actually threw one of the least amount of punches that AJ has ever thrown in the fight. So I think AJ let Alexander Usyk off the hook a little bit, to be real with you. I think if AJ went out there, full confidence, I think if AJ, went in there, with full confidence, if AJ didn't feel those punches, right? If AJ didn't feel those punches from Alexander Usyk, you know what I mean, and have a Anthony Reeves relapse, I think AJ, could have stopped Alexander Usyk too. Because just like in that fight where Alexander Usyk could have stopped Anthony Joshua at a point in time, there was a point in time where AJ, could have stopped Alexander Usyk too. Alexander Usyk was smart enough Alexander Usyk was smart enough, to stay away from AJ at that time and keep him at bay and use the ring a little bit. That's why I was saying his feet is what, saves Alexander Usyk in a lot of these fights. He was able to use his feet a little bit when AJ rocked him, weather the storm and get to the next round. But when AJ was aggressive in this fight, when AJ was pushing forward, you know what I mean? In this fight, he was highly successful. What's good, Jason? Jason said, T, I heard some people say that AJ can win, but only within the first 6 rounds. Do you agree or no? I do believe AJ can win, and I do think if he's going to win, it will suit him. It's going to suit him to do it earlier than later. You know what I mean? The reason people saying that, Jason, right, is because of Anthony Joshua's gas tank, right? Most people thinking Anthony Joshua has to stop Usyk, and he has to stop him early because Anthony Joshua faded towards the later rounds of that first fight. Anthony Joshua is the naturally bigger guy. He holds more weight physically than Alexander Usyk. So people saying that, they're saying that because they believe that AJ, is going to his gas tank is going to be depleted after about 6 rounds. So it would be in his best interest, to try to get Alexander Usyk out of there faster. And they're also saying the 6-round thing to say the same thing that I'm saying, right? They want AJ to be a little more aggressive. If AJ is a little more aggressive, you know what I mean? They're expecting him to be able to stop Alexander Usyk. They're not expecting Alexander Usyk to have enough to be able to compete with AJ. So if AJ comes out and he's more aggressive, logically, right, he should get him out of there in about 6 or 7 rounds. If AJ is going to win, I believe, if AJ is going to win this fight, he's going to win by knockout, and he's going to have to do it before the 8th round. I think 6 rounds is a bit much to say a guy like Alexander Usyk would get put out in 6 rounds. I think that's kind of disrespectful to Alexander Usyk. But AJ does have the power to catch Usyk with a big shot and put him down. Now, I had said something earlier about the weight issue, right? About AJ being the heavier, bigger fighter and opposing his will. And you asked me a question about, AJ having to stop him in the 6th round. Well, look, I seen Alexander Usyk in training camp. Tight, short, aggressive. He gonna be done. Tight as hell, his big bouquet. Right, I had seen Alexander Usyk, his up-to-date pictures, right, for this training camp and whatnot. Alexander Usyk, he's bigger than he was the last fight, right? So two things could happen with I need a cigar. 2 things can happen with Alexander Usyk being bigger and stronger in this fight than he was in the last fight. 2 things could happen. One, he could go in there and he could have the same success that he had within the first fight, right? He could go in there, start landing on AJ, and because he almost put AJ out the first time, right? He could go in there, start landing on AJ, and he'll be able to put him out this time because of that extra weight, that extra strength, and that little extra power, right? Or he could go in there this time, he could go in there, he could start fighting, right? He could get the moving and stuff, and he could get to about the 6th or 7th round and realize that, damn, this extra weight is just a little harder for me to carry, a little harder for me to move with. So now Alexander Usyk, maybe he gets tired a little earlier than he did the first fight because he's coming in so big. Now, I know why he's coming in big, right? Alexander Usyk coming in big thinking, shit, if I landed those punches last time, I just couldn't knock his big ass out. So if I could get a little bigger, a little stronger, and I can land the same punches, I should be able to knock him out this time. So I understand the thinking of Alexander Usyk, and that's a good plan. If your stamina can maintain the extra weight that you put on within this fight. But I think this fight gonna be hella interesting. You know what I mean? I've seen AJ come back from his Andy Reid's loss with a new game plan, and he adjusted to the AJ style. But it's gonna be interesting to see. It's gonna be interesting to see, if AJ can come back and he can adjust to this Alexander Usyk style. I believe AJ is the harder puncher, right? I believe Alexander Usyk is the better boxer, right? In a perfect world, right? Anthony Joshua beat Alexander Usyk. I think in the perfect world, right? If everything happened the right way it's supposed to, Anthony Joshua was good. Demetrius, right? Anthony Joshua is going to beat Alexander Usyk this Saturday. But y'all, we don't live in a perfect world, do we? We don't live in the perfect world. In the perfect world, Anthony Joshua would have won the first fight. Ben, what's good, Ben? Appreciate you sliding through this jump, Ben. Glad you can make it. AJ should overcome. If not, Shalom T, this man down today, tomorrow, and forever. Yeah, fact. Shout out to my guy, Ben Idris. Appreciate you sliding through this jump, Ben. Glad you can make it, pimp. Glad you can make it. In the perfect world, AJ should win, but the world ain't perfect. I called the upset. The first fight. I thought AJ getting 50, Usyk getting 60. That's big money, bro. Cool to see. Yep. AJ always getting them checks. He's an AJ going to get them testosterone shots like Dylan White said he gets to boost his stamina a lot on the line. Shout out my guy G5. What's good, G5? What time you going live, G5? Appreciate you sliding through this, John G5. Glad you can make it. TWT in the building. What's good, fam? I'm getting into the prediction portion of my video. You know what I mean? What time you going live, fam? I'm getting to the prediction portion of my video. But yeah, the world ain't perfect, right? In the perfect world, AJ would have beat Alexander Usyk the first time. I feel like if everybody come in on the A game, everybody come in with the game plan being 100% right and everything, I think Anthony Joshua wins this fight. But the world not perfect. I got Alexander Usyk winning this fight again by unanimous decision. The only way I see Alexander Usyk losing this fight, right? The only way I see Alexander Usyk losing this fight is if Alexander Usyk gasses out from carrying around, that weight that he's not used to carrying. You know what I mean? I feel like Alexander Usyk put on extra weight. To try to go in here and get the stoppage, to try to go in here and get the knockout. You know what I mean? I think Alexander Usyk felt the last time that he could have won if he could have knocked him out, that, this guy could be stopped. So I think he bulked up to try to stop him. The only way I can see Alexander Usyk losing is if he gasses out in an attempt to stop Alexander Usyk because of his new weight and the new weight gain that Alexander Usyk got. You know what I mean? Because I believe this, right? If Alexander Usyk come in heavy, real heavy, and Anthony Joshua comes in lighter, you know what I mean? Then it could be advantage Anthony Joshua. Because we seen the situation where my bad, y'all. But yeah, we've seen situation where fighters come in a little too heavy. You know what I mean? Fighters come in a little too heavy and they gas out. You know what I mean? So there's the case of that with Alexander Usyk. But outside of that being the case with Alexander Usyk, I got Alexander Usyk winning this fight against Anthony Joshua. I got Alexander Usyk winning by UD. As far as the stoppages go, could I see a stoppage? Both guys are capable of stopping one another. You know what I mean? Anthony Joshua almost stopped Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk almost stopped Anthony Joshua. So both of these guys, can't stop each other. He said, T out topic. Is it true Adrian Broner pulled out the fight on my favorite real fight? That's what I heard. He apparently said, Mr. Pats, did you see my video this morning? Weren't you in my chat this morning, Mr. Pats? What's good, Mr. Pat? I talked about that, Mr. Pat. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is true. I talked about that this morning. This is my first video. Go check out my last video, Mr. Pat. Check out my last video and my video before that. Did you see who the new member of Savannah Marshall and Team Fury is? I literally talked about Adrian Broner before I came on this live. Literally, like 10 seconds. About 10 minutes before I came on this live, I talked about Adrian Broner. Yeah, damn, I don't think I read the title. Well, goddamn. Yep, I just talked about Adrian Broner before I started this live on my last live. But yeah, it is true. But I got Alexander Usyk winning this fight Saturday against Anthony Joshua. In the back of my mind, you know, I kind of want Anthony Joshua to win. I think it'll be, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. Anthony Joshua is interesting for boxing, right? He's interesting for boxing. As good as a fighter, as great as a fighter as Alexander Usyk is, and I do think he's a great fighter. Had him in my pound for pound for a minute. As good as a fighter as he is, he's not the personality, or he's not the star that Anthony Joshua is. So I actually think it would be better for boxing if Anthony Joshua is to win this fight. Entertaining fighter, noticeable guy. Alexander Usyk is probably the best fighter in the world. You know what I mean? He just doesn't have that appeal that, you know, you want your heavyweight champion of the world to have. But he is a great fighter, you know what I mean? But in the perfect world, Anthony Joshua should win this fight, but the world ain't perfect. I got Alexander Usyk beating Anthony Joshua, unanimous decision. And I think we're going to get Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury this year. And I think we'll end up getting, you know, either Wilder versus Usyk. And I also think that Mauricio Suleiman is going to take away Tyson Fury's title, or he's going to give Tyson Fury like a super title or something like that. And I think Deontay Wilder will be WBC heavyweight champion of the world again. But that's all I got. Skin Hardaway Southerntea. This ain't the past. This ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love. My guy Jason said, I want Usyk to win. I picked Usyk to win the last fight for sure. But I appreciate y'all folks sliding through this jump. Make sure y'all smash that like button for your boy. Whether you here for a good time or a long time. I got 15, 16 people in the bin. I got 13 likes. Y'all need everybody in here that didn't smash my like button. I need y'all to smash that like button for your boy right now. Not yesterday, but right now. Y'all be killing me when y'all be coming in here not hitting the nigga like button. Y'all just be coming in here just looking around. My nigga Paz didn't even know. My nigga Paz just told me y'all be forgetting to hit the like button because half the time y'all don't even know what the hell we be in here talking about. Mr. Paz was just on the whole live stream with me talking about Adrian Broner and him missing the fight. Then he come telling me, you know, Adrian Broner missing the fight. I think Paz forgot that he was on. I think Paz forgot that I told him that. I think Mr. Paz forgot that I told him Adrian Broner was missing the fights, and he came to me talking about it. Like, T, you heard Adrian Broner? Yeah, Mr. Paz, I told you that. You was on my stream 20 minutes ago. But I appreciate y'all folks sliding through this jump, man. Skin Hardaway Southerntea. This ain't the past. This ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.